why I left counseling and went into coaching. Hi guys, how are you doing? Hope you're doing well. Just wanted to jump on and do a real quick video on why I went from the counseling field into coaching. Realizing that, a lot came from that. I learned so much in just going through that part of the journey. And it really wasn't about the counseling per se, but I had gone into counseling in order to learn what I got out of it, right? And so there's always what you get out of a situation when you go into it. And so I learned a lot from counseling. And so it was a great part of my life, and understanding that I, going into there, I wouldn't have the knowledge that I have now. So it's helped to bring me to where I am, which is part of the manifesting of what I'm creating and where I'm going. And as I mentioned in the other video, it was for me to learn a lot of information and to get a lot out of it. So, but I went from counseling because during that journey, I've went from the space of needing to heal myself to healing others, and then to realize that you can't heal others. And so it was, you need to teach people um, instead of do it for them, because people don't want to heal. If they don't want to heal, they're not going to heal. You can't do it for them. You can't make them. It has to be their choice, right? And so there has to be that choice. And so it got to a point where I was, okay, I felt like I was wasting my time, because in coaching, people come to you because they want to change, right? And so that's where it's more effective than if you're in counseling. People are forced to go there because they're not participating in society as they're wanting you to, or you're supposed to. And because people are divided from their true selves of who they are and what they are trying to be and fit into the society that's been created. So, and a lot of people get run down and turn to, like addictions and things like that, because they're not understanding who they truly are, or where they're going. But even that has lessons in it, for them to be in that space and to learn. And so when you're interfering with that, they're not getting out of it what they really need, because in that space they're able to learn and have the awareness and have the experience, so they can observe it and experience it. And that's part of them coming in to be in that space and have that. And that may be hard to understand, especially when you have a loved one who's going through situations like addictions and prostituting and all kinds of things like that, abuse. We've signed up for everything that we've come to experience. Even myself, I've gone through a lot of things in my life which were a good situation, and coming to the realization that we've all signed up for what we were a part of our journey that we came to experience here. And so we can evolve through it, learn through it, and to understand it so we can move on to something else. We bring that into the next part of our lives. And so we are our own, let's say we're our own experience, our own creator, our own observer, our own manifester, and we change our lives, and we are the ones that are doing all of it. There's nothing outside of you. There's only the creation of you, and what you're doing is you're attracting those experiences to you. So where you are is what you're attracting to you. And so that sometimes is not a good thing, right? So knowing where we are and who we are is important, along the stream of consciousness and what we're creating. But anyway, I kind of went through that pattern, like from my own healing, my own experience, to my healing, to healing others, and the counseling, which I was guided to go into with the angel after my death experience. And then understanding by the download of when my guide said to me, about going now into teaching, right, into helping people now that I've gone through all that, right? It became now, okay, you can't do it for them. You understand it. But within all that, I've learned a lot, so I can take that with me. And so I've learned that counseling, psychology don't work, and it was shown to me that when we give diagnosis to people, there's an internal, and a lot of people don't know this. There's like this God savior complex that we have, and so when you're a psychologist or a counselor, you want to be careful not to do a diagnosis because actually you're implanting seeds into them, and so we have this innate it's like this innate thing. I'm trying to find the right word for it. There's this innate ability, and I don't really want to call it an ability, but it's like this structure that's been implanted into us. So the innate ability to live up to the possibility, we'll just put it that way, of becoming what it is that we are taking on as our belief systems. So for instance, you're growing up and then your parents are telling you, oh, you're no good, you're never going to amount to anything, blah, blah, blah. Repeatedly hearing that, guess what's going to be the outcome unless you have the ability to make your choice and not accept that as your belief system. And that's an internal setting within yourself, whether you're going to believe it or not. Because you can have a family who has 2 kids and they're being treated the same way. And one's going to choose to not accept it and one's going to choose to accept it. And they're going to have 2 different paths. And that's why your children come out to be 2 different beings in the life, right, as they're adults. So we have this innate understanding within ourselves that we're living up to the possibility of who we are, right? And so we're not aware of that, a lot of us. But as I was getting downloads and information on this, that's how I learned to understand that, like in diagnosis, we're actually ingraining that into people with their diagnosis, right? And so they're living up to that potential. That's what I was looking for. Thank you. We're living up to the potential, right? And who we are, because we have that innate ability within us to live up to potential. And so when that's being reaffirmed and confirmed over and over again, and like in addictions, what are they teaching you to say, right? That you're an addict, right? And what are they doing when they're giving you a diagnosis, right? You become the best potential of that version for yourself if you choose to take on that belief system, right? And nobody knows if you're going to be the one that takes that on or rejects it, right? It's only subconscious and it's different for everybody. And we don't know that until it becomes the outcome. The good thing is we have the ability to change that once we know that or we're aware of it. And so that started coming in my exploration of being a counselor and observing this and understanding this. And as you're repeating things to your clients and confirming what they're doing and rehashing out the same thing over and over again in counseling sessions, you're just confirming and reaffirming what it is that the problem is, and not getting to the root cause if you don't understand how this works, to go to the root cause and to change that. And then the other thing, I left there because I was kind of restricted to doing only certain things. Where I was in the counseling field, you're not allowed to do certain things there. That's not allowed to actually help somebody to get to where they need to be. So you're kind of restricted in that field to work on certain levels, on a spiritual level and on an energetic level with people. And so that's where I was like, okay, I'm just wasting my time here because, we're not really getting anywhere with this. And so I left there and started going into the hypnosis session where we can actually take you into a deeper level and kind of get to the root cause and see where you are and transform it from that place, which is the seed that's been planted and created, like with your belief systems, connecting to your divine self, doing inner healing, different things like that. So I kind of shifted out of the counseling field into more of the spiritual side of work, shadow work, intuitive readings, medical intuitive, and doing the soul regression, which is basically introspective with QHTT, I believe it's called, Dolores Cannon. So I do that. It's kind of like a mixture with forgiveness healing, and then also connecting with our source, our guide, and kind of really diving in deep to heal and help people. And it kind of takes me out of the picture, even though I'm the guide there. You're doing it all the work, right? It's not me. I'm just guiding you. I'm just the guide to walk and navigate you through your experience. And so, again, that's why I kind of stepped away from trying to heal people, because you can't do it for another person if they don't want to. And so coaching allows people to come when they're ready and when they want to, as versus like if you're in counseling or going to a psychologist, a lot of times it's because it's not that you want to, but you're forced to, or you have to. You know what I mean? You're not really ready to heal. So that's just a space and time where you're in a place where you're not really taking responsibility for yourself, or want to heal or want to change, because a person really has to change in order to change, and you can't do it for somebody. And so that was part of my journey in learning and understanding that. I got like a little spider here on the thing or cobweb. And so having all that come, that's kind of one of the reasons why I had shifted out of the counseling field into more of the spiritual aspect work with shadow work and everything. So if you are wanting to set up any sessions, again, I do soul regressions, and then I also do medical intuitive readings, and then I do intuitive readings. If you like tarot, I do tarot as well. And so a lot of things that I do for sessions. If you want to go ahead and reach out to me and book those sessions, we can do that. I also am going to be putting stuff on the videos just to help out, with understanding who you are and part of the creation of what I'm creating in my life. And so with that, I have some books, and these were the books that when I was in the counseling field, I started channeling, right? And so I have the I Am Healing the Karmic Overlay, right, which is a process. It has invocations and passages, and then I have the Way Through book. Pretty thick. I have two of these. These are the pre-writings while I was in counseling, and it's the Way Through Spiritual Discourse, I Am. And it goes over a lot of information, and it started, I have a video on there when I had first started with the channeled writing. I was sitting there in the counseling when I was my first year as a mental health tech, before I even got into counseling, and I was just sitting there waiting for the clients to come out of their room. And so I just picked up a pen and started doodling, and all of a sudden this writing started happening. And I was like, what is going on here? And I started just getting a lot of this information, and everything that I started getting, I just started putting in this book. I saved it all. And then it's the rough form, just so you know. And so it's just as it came into me. And of course, I'm going to have to go back through. I just needed to get it out to the public as I was guided. And so I have it out there. And so I am definitely going to have to go back and kind of relook at it, because whatever I had as just my writings, I put it on into a book on the computer from my handwriting. And so I just got it out there, and it's the rough form. So if you get it and you purchase it on Amazon.com, it's going to be in the original form, right? And so I'm going to go back through and edit it, and I'm going to hopefully get a nicer book at some point, a cover for it, because I have this vision of how I really want it to look. It's going to look similar like that, but I'm going to have that little thing here with it. But it goes over a lot of information that I learned about healing yourself, healing everything that I was getting as downloads. And I was channeling Carl Rogers when I was actually writing a lot of this stuff, and like, because I asked, I was like, where is this coming from? Who's this coming from? And I got Carl Rogers, right? And so, and then I was like, okay, and then I was getting it from other psychologists and things like that who've passed over. So a lot of this information came from Carl Rogers or Carl Jung, not Carl Rogers, Carl Jung, and so a lot of those psychologists who have passed over, and then my guides and information was coming in, and it's just like so much stuff is in here. And like I said, I'm gonna have to go back and revamp it and make a nicer cover, but I just wanted to kind of get it out there in case you're interested in reading it. And I will be having that on the links down below in the comments section, and then you have that. And then again, if you want to book any sessions, definitely reach out to me. The email is there as well, and then we can connect and set up something for you. All right, well, thanks for tuning in. Happy journeys.